Hi, I'm Bob Dodge with Artemis Gallery. I started collecting ancient art about 25 years ago. Started becoming a dealer or dealing in ancient art shortly thereafter as a way of supporting my own hoarding habit, I guess you will. One of the things I've picked up over the years, there's a really important mineral that finds itself onto ancient objects. That mineral is manganese. Manganese is a black mineral that is absorbed onto the surface, generally pottery, but I have seen it on stone. It's very rare that you get the same kind of beautiful manganese bloom on stone that you get on pottery, but I have seen it. I wish I still had that piece because I would present it in this discussion. But manganese and testing for manganese is something that you can do yourself at home with your own collection. And if you don't have a piece that has that quintessential perfect manganese bloom, talk to your favorite dealer, have them find one, have them find a piece, even if it's an inexpensive piece, that has that beautiful, perfect bloom on it so that you can see what you're looking for. But manganese, it grows onto the surface. I'm going to liken it to a cancer because it spreads, it grows, it's a bloom, it flowers, it's got arms and tendrils. And when you look at manganese and you look at it up close, it's not a black spot, it's not a blob, it's kind of this organic thing that's happening to the pottery where that mineral is getting on and absorbing. So here's an example of a piece from Nayarit, Mexico, and it's got liberal manganese blooms all over it. Sometimes manganese will become so prevalent that it obscures the artwork, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing because I love that manganese has become part of the art. Another piece that also shows great manganese deposits is this Mayan cylinder. This is from Honduras. And if you look, that is the perfect quintessential manganese bloom. It spreads, it's grown, it almost takes a life of its own, and in this case it really doesn't obscure the artwork as much, but it becomes part of the object that has been in the ground for 1,500 years. So the test that we're going to conduct, this stuff right here, this is hydrogen peroxide. Now this isn't the hydrogen peroxide you get at the grocery store. That hydrogen peroxide is usually diluted to about 3% hydrogen peroxide, 97% water. And that's not going to do anything for you in this test. So you can get this stuff at your hair care salon. If you've got a beauty salon or a store that sells hair care products, this is something that you can find. This is 40% hydrogen peroxide, and this is the material that you need. So what do? Very simple. You take a little bit of the hydrogen peroxide, if you can get it open, pour it out slowly, and then take a Q-tip, and you dab the Q-tip into the hydrogen peroxide, and you look for that perfect manganese bloom. And when you put this on top of it, this will start to bubble. And if you look at this, it's got a really distinct bubble going on. This test doesn't hurt the pottery, doesn't take the pigment off, doesn't even take the manganese off, but it interacts with the minerals in the manganese and creates this real furious bubbling activity. So if you were to do that on a paint spot, one of the things that the fakers have discovered over the years, we can kind of make things that look like manganese. Well, hydrogen peroxide will just sit on top of a paint spot and do nothing. So in this case, here's again this Honduras cylinder. This area has been restored with a little bit of repaint. So here are authentic manganese blooms. Here are paint splatter. So the way they did that, they probably took a straw, dipped it in black paint, and then sprayed it out. So I've seen fakers do a couple of different ways. One way, they'll splatter it. They'll take a paintbrush or a toothbrush and splatter it. The other is they'll take this straw and they'll blow But you can look for signs, but the best sign or the best way of determining if this is paint or manganese is using hydrogen peroxide. So if I put my same hydrogen peroxide on this area, it's just going to sit there, not do a thing. So that tells me we got paint going on here. We've got paint splatter over pottery. So great, simple, easy test that you can perform at home. Very inexpensive. I think this is probably $10 at the salon. And it's a great way of authenticating without having to send it to a company, to TL. And it takes a lot of guesswork out of whether you've got something that's real or fake. So again, hydrogen peroxide, manganese blooms. Get a sample of manganese into your collection. Get a bowl or a figure or something that's got that perfect manganese bloom on it. And when you watch that bubbling happen, it's kind of a neat thing. It gives you kind of a little sense of joy. So, something you can do at home. Happy collecting. Bob Dodge, Artemis Gallery. Thanks.